Okay, let me switch gears and talk about one thing that I wanted to mention, which was something that grinds my gears. Okay.
Okay.
Which is
this is the second time. This should be a segment.
I know. I want this to be a segment. You know where grinds my gears comes from?
Peter Griffin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I love that segment. E-commerce businesses are always looking for margin, right? Like we're constantly being margin compressed. And so, we're looking for ways to make more money. And one of the ways I just realized that we were losing a lot of money is if you start collecting sales tax, you have to pay processing fees like Stripe credit card fees, credit card charges on the sales tax you collect.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let me give you a real life example. You have an average order of $100. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Florida state sales tax. I grew up in Florida. The Florida state sales tax is probably around 8%. So, could be 7, could be 6, could be 8. I'm sure there's places above it. Let's say it's 8%. That means on a $100 AOV, you collect $8 in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that $8 in taxes you're going to give to the government, but you've got to pay 2.9% on that $8 that you got for the government. And that's going to cost you 23 cents.
Oh, shit.
So now you're out 23 cents collecting $8 for the government.
Yeah.
I think this is not right. And, a while ago you asked me if e-commerce had a lobby, what would you lobby for? And one of the things we talked about was like easier and more streamlined state taxes. So you're not collecting taxes in, 50 states or 45 states and 25 counties in each state or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But this is crazy. And so I was thinking about the numbers for True Classic, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because Ben was on the show right after Black Friday,
right?
And he talked about his numbers. And he said I think he said we're going to do $300 million in top line.
Yeah.
I think that's the number he said. I'm not entirely sure. But if they're doing $300 million in top line, let's say they still collect an 8% sales tax, okay? There's some states that don't have sales tax, like, New Hampshire and Delaware and like Oregon, I think, or maybe Washington. Look, there's some states that don't have it. But let's say they just collected 8% for everyone. That's $24 million in sales tax that they're going to collect this year.
Yep.
That's $700,000 they're going to pay in processing charges in order to collect that sales tax that the government is going to get. In order to collect the sales tax for the government. So they're losing $700,000 collecting $24 million of taxes for the government.
Yeah. Doesn't Numeral solve this?
No, Numeral. I don't think Numeral is a company you and I are both I think we're both investors, right?
Yeah.
Numeral is a company that does sales tax, and I use them, and they're amazing. So I have every incentive to say that I'm it's like that Just for Men commercial. I'm not a founder. I'm not only an investor. I'm also a user.
Yeah.
But like they're fantastic at collecting sales tax, making it really easy, remitting it to states, not doing what I don't want to do is I don't want to pay another service like these services that tie the cost of their services to your revenue.
Yeah.
These like Numeral, they're like flat fee for collecting sales tax and remitting sales tax. Flat fee for registering you in the states that you need to be registered in. They take care of all of that. They're fantastic. But they don't avoid you from collecting the sales tax. You still have to collect sales tax from the customer, and the customer is still going to swipe their credit card, and you've got to pay for that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think of, my parents owned gas stations.
Right.
We paid, processing charges at those gas stations for sales taxes we collected. And nobody, I don't remember any time the government was like, actually, you get a deduction because you paid 2.9% in processing charges.
Right.
The government's like, you collected $100, give me $100.
Yeah.
You had to pay $3 in fees? Fuck you.
Yeah. I see. So I'm just checking out on the Hint website because I remember this was a huge issue when we were coming to Shopify. And there is in the checkout a bottle deposit. And then there's another line item for estimated taxes. But I guess that estimated taxes is just customer facing, but it's not actually being separated from the purchase. Which
correct.
Is what your point is, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's
still paying for.
Yeah, it's separated from the purchase, and that as a Shopify store, you have two different lines there.
Yeah.
But you still ultimately have to remit all of that. You have to remit the tax to the government.
Wow.
Just like that bottle deposit. You're probably collecting 5 cents.
Right.
You're paying the 2.9% on that 5 cents too,
Huh. Is there any way around that? Stripe would have to be the one to say, like, we're not going to do this anymore.
Well, I think state governments would have to say, like, you basically have to get Visa and MasterCard to be like, okay, we're not going to charge on state sales tax. And I think there are certain states that are moving in this direction. I was like researching it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think certain states had moved in that direction. But like generally, I think most brands are still paying processing charges on state sales tax that they have to collect. And that's millions of dollars in this industry.
Especially for Stripe.
Yeah. And not just Stripe, but Visa and MasterCard, right? Like they're the guys that are getting 2.9% or whatever it is on amounts that the government is going to end up the government is going to get. It's not profit. Like you're collecting a processing charge for money that you're going to remit to the government. So like this requires a national solution, which is Congress to say, you cannot collect fees as a Visa or MasterCard or Stripe for taxes for the state. Maybe it's 50 states have to, like each state has to do it individually. Yeah. But that's something I'd like to see because it seems really unfair that Ben and the guys at True Classic have to give up so much EBITDA in order to make sure the government gets their cut.